Hello, you might have noticed this before, but I'm a little bit stupid and I had my mic settings wrong for the intro of this video, which means I've had to cut it. Basically, after Daniel Farke's press conference, I've done a quick little Huddersfield preview for you. I can't get it out tomorrow because work is taking up my entire day, and I can't get it done on Saturday for the same reasons. I can barely watch the match. Yeah, enjoy the Huddersfield preview and ignore how abrupt this beginning is. See you soon. And I'm going to give you a nice Huddersfield preview quite early this week. Admittedly, that's because I might struggle to record something tomorrow or early on Saturday, but sod it. Here we are, have an early Huddersfield preview. So, we learned today that Crescencio Somerville and Patrick Bamford were able to train today on Thursday, and that means that they are likely to be available for the match on Saturday. That's very good. It means that they are fit and healthy and able to play, which is fantastic. In addition to that, one of our more creative players, Jorginho Ruter, is likely to be available. He also apparently trained today, which is very positive. I think it's sort of building up a little bit more fitness throughout the squad, and it means that we were able to rotate him out for the Chelsea game in what would otherwise not be a game he was able to take as a rest if it was a league match, and build his fitness back up for the Huddersfield game, which is pretty important in terms of keeping this winning run going. And there's one player that I think I would quite like to have in the side, being Ilya Grove, but I'm not 100% sure that he'll be able to play. He's apparently going to be a late call. He's been able to train individually, but not with the rest of the side, and that's going to cause some potential issues for the team. There are a couple of missing players. That includes Jamie Shackleton, who is definitely out with some migraines, and Joe Gelhardt, who is not likely to be able to play because he has some back spasms. They were reportedly improving recently, but not back at 100%. So I'm seeing a little bit of rotation in my predicted lineup. I'm going to go with Ilham Melier in goal. As normal, I don't think he was personally at blame for any of the Chelsea goals. You need to beat 10 players in front of him before you beat a goalkeeper. And even then, there weren't any egregious errors that he made. A back line of Roberts, Ampadu, Rodon, and Firpo, with Archie Gray pushing into midfield with whichever of Greif and Kamara we are able to play. I would prefer Greif if he's fit, just because he's more of a holding midfielder, challenging sort of player, where Gray's more playmaking. But Kamara Gray is also equally going to work if we're against Huddersfield, with Crescencio Somerville, Jorginho Ruter, and Willy Gnonto in front of them. The nice, reliable trio that we know can create and finish chances, and Patrick Bamford up top, able to pull around those centre-backs, which will be very important given the way that Huddersfield play. Huddersfield play in a 3-5-2 formation. It's fairly defensive, and they are very reliant on their centre-backs for keeping other sides out. That means that when you're talking about Patrick Bamford, he will be able to sort of draw players towards him and cause them some problems, but I'll get into that in a little bit when I talk about what Leeds United need to do here. They do like to play a very non-possession-y game. I've not looked at the specific stats for this. As I mentioned, work is absolutely bonkers, so I've not been able to do like a deep dive. But the vast majority of games this season, they do not have vast amounts of possession. They're a team that likes to play more transitional stuff. They play on the long ball with counter-attacks and have relatively few forwards. So if you do long ball football, counter-attacking stuff, and you initially sit really deep and you keep your midfielders deep and you're just huffing it up to a striker, that means that you're less open to be countered against. And when the other team drops back to defend, that's when your players can push up, because then you know there's not that much of a threat. In theory, really good. However, there are some quite big issues with this Huddersfield side that Leeds United can look to exploit. First up being that the backline tends to struggle for pace. Having a look at their backline, it's not one with significant amounts of youth or quality, and that's why they are where they are in the league, towards the bottom in a relegation scrap. That means that they're quite easily countered against. If you've got pacey players out on the wing, in the middle, that are trying to attack them, we can do quite well. And in addition to that is a backline that struggles for quality and experience and game sense, which means that I think they'll be drawn into players like Bamford and Ruter, which will open up lots of space in behind for Somerville or Gnonto, or if we play Dan James. We're going to get a lot of space in behind against Huddersfield if we're intelligent with it. I feel like if we don't play Bamford, that could be a little bit more of an issue, but I'm optimistic about that. In addition to that, they are also missing Michael Hellick, who is their best player so far this season. I'm going to have a very quick look at his stats because it's quite useful to have. Yeah, their best centre-back, with an average rating on WhoScored.com of 7.07. He scored 8 goals so far this season, so they're very set-piecey. They're very reliant on that. And if they're missing him, that also means that they're going to be vulnerable to stuff like counterattacks and more complex passing sequences, stuff that you need a senior centre-back in there to deal with. If they're missing Michael Halleck, they will have some significant issues. And I'm feeling quite optimistic about that. And Leeds United need to play in a way that will deal with that. And thankfully, I feel like the way that Leeds United play anyway is something that will work well against Huddersfield. We're a team that likes playing transitional stuff, and they're fairly weak against transitional stuff. They're a team that aren't very good at dealing with skillful players and complex passing patterns. If we've got Jorginho Rutter, he will pick out pass after pass after pass that they just don't know how to deal with. In addition to that, if we avoid opening up at the back, they're going to have some real problems because they play with two forwards most of the time, which is not going to be enough for them to cause significant issues, especially to a back line that is already quite good at stopping chances. I think we'll be doing okay there, but as much as I think that, we need to not be very complacent because it's quite easy to do. At the end of the day, it's against Huddersfield, who are, yes, a Yorkshire derby, but at the same time, Huddersfield can be a threat. They've gotten wins so far this season. They scored against us in the first leg, and although not first leg, but the return fixture, and although we did win 4-1, they still got that goal. And on any other day, with a little bit of variance and poor finishing from us, that could be a 1-0 loss, and that could be a significant issue. And now they're at home. They've had their owner trying to pump up the entire squad. They've got a manager that Daniel Farke has been complimenting in the press conference, saying he's someone that did quite well in, I think, Zurich. He was quite good at Hoffenheim, I think, as well, where he worked with Jorginho Rutter. And both of those could cause us some potential problems because he's going to understand those players. He's going to understand potentially how to counter them. And he doesn't seem like too much of an idiot either. So that's something that we could really need to deal with, I feel. So diving into my predictions, I'm going to be somewhat confident here. I'm going to say that we break the Championship record, we break the Leeds United record, and we win this match. 10 league match wins in a row. I'm not going to count the FA Cup. We know that. It doesn't count towards this record anyway, but come on. In addition to that, I feel like in terms of the game itself, we'll be relatively comfortable in terms of style. We'll dominate possession, and we are quite comfortable doing that. As long as we score relatively early, we can do it without having to push up against them. And if we do get an early goal, they'll be forced to actually try and play football against us. And if they do that, they will open up more at the back. They will open up more on the wings because those wide players will have to bomb on more and leave more and more space for Somerville, Nonto. James, I think, will come on as a substitute, and that will be absolutely fantastic for us. And I've gone a little bit conservative with my score prediction. I'm going to say 2-0 win because I don't think Huddersfield have enough at the top of the pitch to score, and I do feel we'll score multiple goals here. I don't think it'll just be a 1-0 win, but I don't want to say the big numbers just in case I look a little bit of a tit. But anyway, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't yet. It's just one little click of a button and something I want to test. If I say the word subscribe to this video, apparently YouTube flashes it up so you can click back and take a look at that, which I thought was quite cool. But I've not tested it on my own video. So let me know if that works, and I will see you later. No, legitimately let me know if it did the flashy subscribe thing, because if it did, I might actually use that. That'd be really, really good. Cheers.